Zahvaljujući velikom zalaganju tima koji je 2023. godine predstavljao Srbiju članicama Međunarodnog biroa za izložbe, Beograd je dobio priliku da bude domaćin specijalizovane EXPO izložbe 2027. godine. Nakon godinu dana rada na izradi dosijeja za priznanje koji definiše sve parametre organizacije i realizacije događaja, 5. septembra je ministar finansija Siniša Mali uručio dosije za priznanje Generalnom sekretaru Međunarodnog biroa za izložbe Dimitriju Kerkentzesu. Redakcija Alo je pričala sa njim o važnosti EXPO 2027 za našu zemlju, ali i svet.
Serbia is building a city within a city for EXPO 2027. Tell me, how would you rate that project?
Oh, I think from what we have seen until now, and now it's been over a year since the victory of Serbia in the BIE, I think that you have already made incredible progress. We saw today the EXPO site, how it's developing. I think it's very important that we are ahead of schedule.
Today, Minister Siniša Mali gave you the files, so that's a very important step in this process. What are the next steps and responsibilities for Serbia?
It is a very important step because it formalizes and makes concrete the project of Belgrade 2027. But now, of course, this is only one of many steps that we have to take. Now there is still a lot of legislative work that needs to be done, sea agreements, special regulations to make sure that the EXPO is implemented correctly, to make sure that participating countries have their normal protections when they're participating in an EXPO. I think one of the most important things that perhaps sometimes we forget because we're so into the technical work is now we need to start, the thinking process and the development of the theme of this EXPO. How is it going to be even more important for the world by 2027? How are countries going to interpret this theme? And how are we going to work together to make sure that EXPO 2027 Belgrade leaves a lasting legacy, not only for the citizens of Belgrade and Serbia, but for the whole world?
Besides the fair itself, there will be so many other objects. Today you visited the construction site, so does that meet organizers' criteria? How are you satisfied with that, with what you've seen so far?
No, I think we're very satisfied. I think, like I said, Serbia and Belgrade are well ahead of schedule. On the construction, it's very impressive, the progress that has been made. It really puts us at ease knowing that the site itself will be ready in advance of when we were expecting it, so that countries can focus not on worrying about when they will arrive in order to do their interior decoration, but rather worrying about their content. What are they going to say about Blade for Humanity? How are we going to interact with Serbia? How are we going to create a global dialogue? This is what we need to push for now. An EXPO cannot be done alone by the host country. You need the world to be with you on this. And I'm very glad that many countries have already contacted me, waiting, looking forward for the official invitation letter and looking forward to be able to start getting to work. On the other hand, we have to take into account that this is the first time we're having an EXPO in this region. That kind of separates it a bit from all the other EXPOs. It's a very specific region of Europe, for good and bad reasons. I come from this region, so I think it's for very good reasons. That it's important that it is here.
In your estimate, how many countries can you expect to come here as participants? Do you have any idea?
Oh, I think, what I would say is I'm sure we're going to have more than 100. No doubt. How many exactly? For me, you will know this is not about Serbia. I say this in every single EXPO. It's not important. As long as we hit a threshold, and for me it's over 100, afterwards what is important is the quality of what they bring. You don't want 180 countries here and to have 80 doing nothing. What you want is a good, solid participation of every single country that says yes. So I'm convinced we have no problem hitting the 100 countries. I'm sure we'll get more, I'm sure. But what I want to focus on is making sure that no matter what the number is, every single one of them is engaged and brings really useful content to push this international dialogue that we want to build in Belgrade.
Our motto is Play for Humanity. To which extent was that motto the reason that Serbia was chosen, and what does that motto mean to you personally?
For me, I'll start with what it means for me. I think I've already said it many times. I think it's a very original concept. For me, I know a lot of people, immediately think of sport, and I agree. But I have to be honest. For me, Play for Humanity is also a play on words, you know, and it has a lot deeper meaning. And I think you will see that the Expo itself will allow this theme to develop a much deeper meaning for everyone. I think we forget that how important sport is in our life, but also how sport is just one of them. You know, we have culture, we have music, you have science, you know, you talk about game theory, and this is, you know, it's a play on the word play. And the word play in different languages can mean slightly different things. So I'm really curious how every country is going to develop this, how they're going to take it, how they're going to look at it, spin it, twist it, what they're going to bring us. I think it's going to be one of the most interesting discoveries of my career. We'll be walking through the site for the first time and seeing what the world brought and how they interpreted Play for Humanity. And I think that the originality of the theme and the fact that it was something unexpected within the BAE definitely played a role in gaining the interest of the international community.
So Expo 2027 is the most important project for Serbia right now, and it can bring a lot of benefits. What would be the benefits even after the Expo, after it finishes?
I think that all we've been discussing now about the originality of the theme is going to leave a very strong intangible legacy for Serbia. And I hope that what comes out of this Expo is something that the government will take and run with for decades to come, keeping on pushing this forward and pushing the messaging and the values that come out of this Expo for decades to come, not just 2027. 3 months is a very short period of time. I want this Expo to have a much longer impact in terms of Serbia, in terms of the international community. I have, you know, very frequent contact with the Minister of Finance because he is the one, let's say, running this project from the government side. But even here in 2 days, I will see another 2 ministers. You know, it is an extremely high-level contact and also a very constant contact. And this is very important in order to be able to push a project like this forward. We mustn't forget that for Serbia, this is the first time you're doing an Expo. So there is nothing wrong with, it's all the discovery. What do we need to do? What do we need to get done? So for me, it's my job to be able to support them. In fact, it's more me that has to be here and pushing from behind, saying we need to get this done and the next steps, because it's the first time. Like for me, 21 years ago, it was my first time. I had to learn it from somebody, what was going on. So I think we have an extremely positive relationship. I think that the government has shown how committed it is. As you said, it's clear from us, from the, you know, what we hear in the media, coming out in the media, that Expo 2027 is the key project for Serbia in the coming years. And we mustn't forget that this is the first specialized Expo in a decade because of COVID. The other one was lost in 2023 in Argentina, wasn't possible. So the world is even more eager to see the next specialized Expo. And so it puts a lot more pressure, not only on Serbia, but also on the BAE to make sure that we deliver a really high quality Expo for 2027.
And for the end, tell me, for you personally, when you come here in 2027, what will be the first thing that you will visit? Which object based on the plans? Do you have any idea?
Oh, you know, the problem with an Expo is that you don't know what's going to be in there until just a few months before. You know, I'm really curious to see the Pavilion of Serbia. You know, I've seen the first architectural designs, so I think I'd be very curious to see that. But the first thing I usually do in an Expo is I don't go into any building. I like to walk from one side to the other. You know, I think that the real, you know, the content is within the pavilions, but the real spirit of humanity meeting in one place in one given moment is just walking around the site and seeing people and seeing their expressions as they look at new faces. They see new smells that they haven't had before, new food that they've never tasted from around the world. That's, I think, one of the greatest pleasures, to see this discovery of the world in one place. So I think the first thing I'll do is just walk through the site quietly and hidden to observe what everything is that's going on.